nicely done, and I had to put a whole lot of effort into it, so I'm pleased to show it to somebody that can appreciate that.
Oh, good.
I'm so happy that you could see this. I had hoped my mother would be able to come up today from Utah. We stayed at her place last night, but she has some doctor's appointments today and tomorrow, and she didn't feel like she could miss them, so she didn't come. She said she knew your sister a little bit that lived in the house next door over there.
And which house is it you guys live in?
Well, we live in I kind of live in the building in the back that was lived in while this was built. I moved back into there in 1980, and then about, let's see, 13 years ago, I met a woman that we eventually got married about 7 years ago, and she bought a house over on the other side of the gully and renovated into a nice place. And so I stay over there at night, but I work over here in the daytime, and I'm here most of the time. I still think of this as my house. This is the house on my birth certificate, and so I think of it, it's our house.
Yeah, right.
And so please come in and take a look. I'm sorry the yard looks so terrible, but it's going to get a whole renovation just like the inside did. It's just a slow coming about.
I was looking at
And Randy, it's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
And
Patty.
Patty, nice to meet you. And Margie's around here somewhere. We're trying to find the keys to her house a few minutes ago, so we haven't found them yet.
I was looking at the house across the street. That was the only house, and the street was one lane.
Uh-huh. Wow. Well, when I lived here as a youngster, Coach Lyle Smith lived in that house, for whom the stadium is named after. It used to be BJC. He coached football there and made quite a reputation for himself. And then when it turned into a university, he became the athletic director, and is revered in this town quite highly. And I get a lot of mileage. I said, yeah, he used to live across the street from me. I'm careful to make best use of those things. You know, I don't want to let that stuff slip. So please come in.
All right.
Margie's probably steering around trying to get better looking clothes on.
Yeah, you guys have been for a week out, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks
been
almost.
3 weeks, camping for 3 weeks. Last night's the first night in 3 weeks we didn't camp.
Gee.
Actually 3.5 weeks. So
you guys are adventurous.
The steps are getting refaced. Myself and a friend are working on them, and they'll be shined up and look good when we get done. The trim around the door, we're trying to decide what colors to make that. It was dark green with white stripes, I think, when you lived here, this part, but it had since been painted white, so I'm just not sure. There's striped wood I'm going to put on there. I'm just not sure what color they're going to be.
Well, I think it was green, like the
I think
shake.
I've done very little to change the inside of the house. Mostly I tried to just rejuvenate it. The hardwood floors have been refinished, and they look nice. The color of the fireplace we're not sure about, but
No, I think it was like the wall.
It was, and my gal Margie, to who I'm married, did not want it to be the color of the wall, so I said, sure.
Smart man.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And you can just walk right on everything. I don't trip on the cardboard. That stuff's a little hard to walk on sometimes. This has always had the name of the music room, since I think your mother taught music lessons in there, is that right?
Right.
And I played a little music in there myself.
Is this original, this design here?
The design is, but not the painting. It was painted, it was all white. It was built with a heat radiator.
It's almost Celtic looking.
Yeah, all the sculpting was there, but it was white. It was one color. A friend of mine who's good at painting things painted that, and it looked quite nice, and so I left it. I sanded all the windows. They're all the original lattice work windows. 209 panes of glass on the outside of the house, in case anybody asks.
290.
Well, it is. You know, everybody says, "Oh, you should have just put plastic windows." Well, I didn't want plastic windows. Somebody put a lot of work into that, and I wanted it to be rejuvenated with that thing in mind. I'm kind of a stickler for ideas, then they won't leave my head, so I just have to work on them.
Yeah.
You know? Please come take a look at the bedrooms and the bathroom. And don't trip on this cardboard. My goodness, that's hard to walk on. I was going to gather it all up, but I just didn't make it.
Which was your bedroom?
That one.
Oh, that, okay, so we'll be going in there. I don't know. He probably knows. I was going to ask the same question. Fancy mouse hole.
See, we had wardrobes in those days, those were pretty up to date.
Yeah.
This gal who I married, Margie.
Hi, how are you?
Shirley,
Hi,
and
Shirley.
Hi, Randy.
Hi, Randy.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Yeah.
Thing coming on.
I'm GoProing it here. What's that little...
That door is the access to the plumbing behind the bathtub. It's the access to work on the plumbing. It didn't have a handle on it originally, but in this renovation we put a handle on it so it's easy to get to. And there probably eventually will be a piece of furniture or something that goes in front of it. But these lovely round closets
Yeah.
have been commented on by everybody, and Margie worked real hard caulking all the cracks and so forth in there so that they would be painted and look first rate. This is all construction things we've got in here, but
There's even shelves within that round area. That
Yep.
was a good utilization of space.
yeah, the shelves were all there.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And the original, you probably looks familiar to you, huh?
original life.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Are the doorknobs as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are
Wow. All
the
the,
original ones.
all the hardware except for a handful. Or,
Margie got all the paint off all that stuff.
wow.
Went on for a long time. The bathroom, we put a shower in it and just tiled. The tile's brand new. It wasn't like that originally, but it's original tub, original sink.
Was this you?
Yeah, that's original.
Golly, I don't remember.
The cabinet's
I
original,
bet you can remember every bit of that.
and this
We
is,
have a cabinet back
this is,
here.
shit. I wanted to get this up for you, but there's no way. This was here, I believe, wasn't it?
I think so.
And then we found all the original, or some of the original, I think this is gonna go here, I can't remember now.
Okay.
And, this is supposedly the original toilet paper,
Uh-huh.
but you probably don't. And I don't know about these, whether they're original or not, but we're gonna put them on. But we've got a piece of marble that threw up there on that worked out pretty good. Trying to finish, somebody visited and broke one of these.
Oh, no.
We only have just enough, so.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nightmare, but we modernized it to a little bit, but not much. Original, I don't have the original things on, but they're all, many of the light fixtures are original.
Oh, really?
Not all of them, but,
Is it okay to open this?
oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Well, this is all changed.
It doesn't look quite like it did because we put a stacked room for a stacked washer and dryer
Got
in
rid
the
of
kitchen.
Got rid of the wall
And
and
that
made it
means
just
it
a
had to come
plywood.
back about 6 inches, so this is a little smaller, the
It's a
dryer
linen
makes
closet,
it out. But
guys.
it's still gonna be a linen closet when it gets done.
Yeah,
It's just been brought up to date a little bit.
Well, this was my room.
And this was your room.
Put a room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Boy, the floors are beautiful.
Yeah, then they
Did you
come out.
share this with your sisters? What? Did you share this with your sisters?
Jill, or
And then it's got a little bit of a walk-in closet there too. Storage area. Is it in there? I'm sure glad you're getting to see this.
Yeah.
How many years is it? I hate to ask.
well, it was built in about
38 is what Alan
38.
thought. Yeah.
Finished, the paperwork was finished in 38. The house could have been done before
no, I
that.
think it was 38 because to tell you a story, the cinder blocks
Yes.
came from the original house.
Uh-huh.
I was born in that house.
Oh, for Pete's sakes. And it was a basement house, wasn't it?
Well, it didn't have a basement,
Oh, really?
no. And I didn't want to live there forever, and I knew the only way I was going to ever move was if it would burn down. So as a
So you
kid,
live on fire?
I wished that the house would burn down. Then when I was in high school, out here at Franklin High School, that they destroyed,
Yep. I can tell you all about that.
Looked outside and there came Mother and a couple of my sisters up the sidewalk, kind of smiling, and I thought, what are they coming here for? And they came to tell me my wish came true. Well, I wasn't wishing it at that point. That they said the house had burned down.
Oh.
And so then that meant we didn't have any place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And Dorothy and Buddy had just moved into the little house that they had built.
Uh-huh.
So we ate there, and I slept at a neighbor's down on the rim, and Jill slept at a neighbor's across that way, and my parents slept, I think, with the Long's house. Did they still?
Oh yeah, Long's lived, Frances Long, I think, has passed away, but she lived down the block and across the street. I remember her. Mhm.
Yeah.
And Dulligans lived next door. Did you remember?
We didn't have any next door.
Next door. Okay.
Yeah.
They came along after you.
We had one across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And across the street was a doctor, because he used to bring serum out for ticks, tick shots, because my folks did a lot of hunting and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd all get our tick shots every year at
I
his
see.
home.
I see.
Dr. Allen.
Dr. Allen, okay.
Yeah. And the son of the people that Francis, what's it, Long.
Francis Long. Huh?
He lived across the street
Oh, I see.
for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the kitchen.
You bet. Come on in. Yeah, don't trip on this cardboard. This stuff will trip you right up in a minute. The kitchen, this is the original linoleum. As you might remember, the cove going up the wall has been taken down because I'm putting new linoleum down because I couldn't make the old stuff look good. It's 75 years old, it needs to be replaced. So this is what I'm going to replace it with because I changed the colors in here. This will be what the field is. The main part of it will be that color. And then, now it has two feature stripes, a black one and an orange one. So it's going to have black stripe next to the orange, just like it did have. It's going to have a cranberry stripe next to the black to match the cranberry color countertops. And then the cove that goes up the wall is going to be like that. It's the same style. I've had great trouble finding a guy to do it. I found him on June 12th. He said he'd start in about 10 days, and finally in the middle of August I had to go over and run him off and get my material back and tell him he was a jerk. And anyway, so I'm still working on it. I did the stairway myself, which I don't have any previous experience at, but I chose material that's close to the original material for the stairway as I could. And came out pretty good for a guy that's never done it before. I did cove where it curves and comes up.
Now, when your mother bought the house, my mother was very short, and that's how come these things are.
Oh.
I had heard that.
Yeah.
I had heard that, and
then when I saw your mother, and she was taller, I thought, oh boy, she won't fit with these cupboards.
well, what we did in this renovation is we raised the cupboards. We cut the bottom off because we needed more room because you couldn't really put a microwave or anything on the counter. And so this cupboard, I think they cut 6.5 inches off of it.
I see.
And that made it more accessible. They're still low, but they're just fine low. And also, there were no cabinets from there over. The stove went there. But when my friend Roger, who did the carpentry, put the vent fan in so that it would fill the kitchen with smoke, he said we should put cabinets there, and so we did.
Well, Mother was used to cooking on a coal range.
Uh-huh.
So when they built this house, she couldn't give up her coal range. So they had an electric stove and a coal range.
All right.
Was it
I'm
over
glad
here?
to hear that.
Yeah,
It went right
there's
there.
two
That's what
entrances.
coal in the...
Oh, that's where the coal range was.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
in that
Well,
corner with the, yeah.
Makes sense to me. When I moved into it, I'd been living in Alaska, so I put another coal range in there. And
Oh,
I had
really?
that. People commented I had probably the only coal range microwave kitchen on the whole.
Do you remember this?
No.
Oh.
That was the heat comes through that, and so towels can be put in there
Oh.
to dry.
Ah.
There are towel racks that Margie reconditioned and got them back in there, so it had been like that my whole life.
And this was a,
This had kindling in it originally. The kindling bin
it
was
a
in there,
bin.
but
It came
it
out.
wasn't used for that. So we took, in this
we
renovation, the
gotta
box
make it-
was taken out and shelves were put into it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And there, you'll probably take a look at the little breakfast nook. You'll probably recall this little triangular china cabinet in the corner.
Oh, so here's your washer dryer.
Yeah, there's the washer. It keeps moving around, trying to figure out a place for it.
I'll upload this to YouTube for
Yeah.
you. So,
I'm actually taking a recording.
Photos? Oh,
Recording. Are you
right.
recording?
Yeah, this is
Oh, you are
recording
too?
too.
What is that?
It's a GoPro
My
camera.
grandparents.
A GoPro? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
yeah.
Figured wide angle would get good views.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to share.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
And when I sat
Yeah,
all
this
the
was
time,
the,
that's the colors of the
Because of all the, you wouldn't believe how complicated the
Yeah.
hinges
One
were.
of those.
Because when you add new cabinets, I had to figure out how to get, so I got new hinges for that cabinet in there, and then, it's kind of a nightmare. With all the extra paint on it, nothing fit right, so we had to do a lot of things I won't go into. But it pretty much works pretty good now.
Well, that's how many years old?
Yeah,
1938, 75 is it? Something like that.
75 now.
Wow.
When my grandparents lived in the house, they had a set of kitchen knives, cutting knives, that had this paint on the handle. And when I sanded the cabinets, I found that that was the original color of the cabinets, was this orange and green. And I supposed that your dad had painted those knives to match the cabinets and just passed them along with the house. Does that sound familiar?
No, I don't remember that.
I
Now,
see.
when he and Buddy, Dorothy's husband,
Yeah.
built the little house, they had a dog, a big dog, bird dog. And the bird dog would go up the ladder to the roof where they were working, and they'd have to lift it down and take it down to the ground. They would come back up the ladder. They couldn't do anything about it. They had to have the ladder to get down. So then when the house burned, Dad had the cinder blocks put back there,
Mm-hmm.
made two bedrooms and a bath and a kitchen,
Mhm.
and the living area in the center. And we lived in there until they got the house built.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know anybody to build it. I don't know how he found him, but he found a man and his son. It happened to be a Mormon man, which we didn't know anything about. And his son, and they built the house. I don't know what their names
Well, they did a good job. They
I
cut
thought-
right to the line. I run into the
That
pencil
house?
marks. I had supposed it was your dad
This
that built
house.
it.
No.
But
Oh,
He did build
They
houses, he
cut-
was working, she said he
he
didn't
was
have time.
He was working, so all these years I thought it was,
Well,
his dad built
they
this.
did a good job because they cut right to the pencil line.
think
Every
he
place I
designed it,
sat,
just
I see
hired
those
him.
lines.
Well, I think he was a good supervisor.
Do you
too.
remember who
that's
the builder
all.
was by any chance?
Do I?
You don't remember who the builder was?
No,
No.
I don't know who it was. I just know he was Mormon and his son. And
That's interesting.
that's all I knew.
Ah, I'll be darned.
Didn't know him other than that. Now, I will take it back about the basement.
You mean the original house?
You know, prior to that was really tough times. And my oldest sister my second oldest sister and my third oldest sister had boyfriends who didn't have a job and a place to live. And so they came to our house. We had a porch that went across the front. They would sleep on the porch.
It is.
And they dug a basement by hand with a shovel underneath the house. So when they had this place built, I want to see the basement. I'll show you.
I'm not sure how much
Sure.
recording, I don't know how much I
Let's
have.
go down.
Memory.
Basement's in several
Maybe
kinds
Oh,
of
yeah.
disarray
I'll
right
upload it
now
to YouTube, yeah. No
for a
problem.
couple reasons.
Now, what's this, a cabinet?
So that's the,
That's where This was we called it the ironing board closet because there was in the movie again an ironing board mounted on the door that came down. There's the ironing board right there, but we haven't got it mounted on the door. We've got to get it put together again.
And this is where your washer dryer.
Yeah, and that cabinet,
It used to be just a whole lot big, but it's
I'm
been
sure it was
made so
original,
there's
a
room
big
now for a
cabinet
stacked
of,
washer dryer.
And I don't remember, Mother didn't have a washer.
did not.
I see.
She always sent her washing.
Oh, why not send it out? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah.
Now this will tip you up here. I've got the handrails off of this, so I'm going to hold on to your hand here. The first step is,
A long one?
it's kind of long. Just answer this phone briefly.
Okay.
Hi, this is Alan. Hi, Eric. You know, I've just been back in town for about an hour and I have company at my house right now. I'll be back at work tomorrow. Could you give me a call tomorrow? We'll figure out a time for you. All right, thanks, Eric. I look forward to seeing you. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye. Get back in there. Okay. I tried to choose linoleum that matched the original. This isn't quite as pretty as the original, but I couldn't find anything. I spent a great amount of time looking. It was as close as I could come. But I did the same style bent where it curves up the stairs called Cove.
Lots of details.
Yeah, no kidding.
Step.
Oh my God.
And this is the original linoleum.
You
This
guys have
last
done a
one
great
was
job.
Here, I don't know if there's enough light to see that or not, but that was the
The irony is.
original color. Let's see now. There's knock knock.
It's a long, he's
A
not-
young man has moved into the basement while we were gone. I haven't.
he was moving in while we were
He's just
gone.
moving his stuff in now. I haven't seen he had to do a huge cleanup before he got here. But the apartment, this was the basement apartment before, was just this area, and
Right,
then
and this, you added on to it.
yeah, that room was added on
Yeah.
too.
I
Because
mean,
that was a big room.
your guys
Yeah,
come in
uh-huh.
for fun, but you know.
Yeah, that's Elagio's room, I guess.
We gotta get our act together, you know?
It has a washer now. It didn't have one then, but it does now. And you put it in good range with a good roof vent, stainless steel sink, new water service, brand new toilet, make it into a nice apartment for
Yeah,
somebody.
it's a neat little
You
apartment.
know, it's not a dank, dark little
No.
basement apartment. And
It's got windows and
this
everything
young
else.
man will be a very good renter.
Yeah.
He's just barely getting his stuff moved in right now. So
Yeah.
that's what's going on here. So.
No, this, that part's entirely different, but my second sister and her husband moved in here
Oh,
when they
uh-huh.
built the house.
Uh-huh.
But then we went on back in there. Do you have a room back in that?
Come, yes, I do. Come in. Come. This is. You should get to see every mess that I have. You get to see them one at a time. And
Oh my God.
this one, you have to crowd through this. This is the remnants of carpet in there that I moved. I did. Oh. This was where the coal bin was in the furnace. I have an interest in colored landscapes and photography, so this is my dark room
Oh, okay.
for doing that. And this room is a huge mess because I left town to go on the Grand Canyon in a great big hurry. And so anything that didn't have a place, I threw it in here.
Yeah.
And normally it's my framing room for photographs. I do stuff like that. That's what I like.
Oh,
that's
wow.
nice.
That's beautiful.
And
Yeah.
this
Very
is
nice.
where I keep them. And it's an unexplainable interest. Sometimes it makes money, sometimes it loses money, and I couldn't care less.
You just love doing it.
I love doing it, you know. And
Yeah.
this was the storeroom when I was, and it's where my enlarger is. This was a storeroom when my grandparents owned it, and
Uh-huh.
it was a world of wonders. There were old
Yeah.
fishing rods and old fur coats and everything, and I changed it, and this is where the main part of my enlarging dark room is at. And
Yeah, you can do a lot of work in here.
Yeah, well, I have, and I enjoy it thoroughly. it's a passion that I just can't get out of my skin, you know.
No,
That's good.
That's great.
Making photographs is a great thing for a guy my
So it
interest.
was your grandparents that bought the house?
It was my grandparents, yes, and they bought it in 1946.
Okay, I couldn't remember exactly when my parents, Dad retired and then they moved.
Now, if you can make your way through here, all this would be new to you. Was the furnace room, the big coal furnace with a stoker sat there. I'll move that out of your way a little bit if I can. And I added this room on 13 years ago, so I had a place to cut hair. It hasn't been swept
Oh,
since
this
I've
is
been
your
gone.
shop.
This is my shop, and I'll hold your hand and we can go up those stairs right there. I cut hair here. It always is dusty and needs dusting. I had shops downtown for a long time, but I now just work here and have my photographs here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
You can look at and I have a small coffee roasting business. I roast coffee and quite a few people come by and get it. There's a cigar box there. They come by and make their own change. I leave the door open whether I'm here or not. And they,
Now that's going back to the days of trusting people.
well, it has never worked out badly for me, and I've been doing it over 20 years. It works out fine.
That's great.
I actually don't give it a second thought anymore. I used to be concerned about it, but it works out very well. I don't know, what can I say?
Yeah, I
Now,
can
do you roast the coffee here or not?
No, I roast it 1 mile away from
Oh,
here,
okay.
down on the other side of the railroad tracks. I have a place that I roast it, and I do that 3 or 4 mornings.
Now, this was not here at all.
Not at all. No.
Okay. We had a cherry tree right out here. It was beautiful.
Yeah, well, there was a pie cherry tree over here. There may have been a big Bing, was
Yeah,
there?
Bing, too.
The Bing was gone by the time I came along.
Yeah.
Currently, I have too many trees. My grandmother planted an English walnut tree in the back, but the squirrels get all the walnuts. Were squirrels here when you were here?
I don't remember them.
Boy, they're taking over the neighborhood. They were here when I was a kid. I was born not in the house, but my parents lived in the basement apartment when I was born in 1949. And the squirrels were here as early as I can remember, but they take every single English walnut. In 39 years of owning the house, I've only ever gotten one, and I saw a squirrel bury it, and I went over and dug it up. So that tree's on its way out because the leaves are allopathic. They kill the lawn under it.
Yeah,
They-
right.
It's a nuisance tree, and I met a young man on this river trip. We just got off the Colorado River, which is where a lot of these photographs are from. I can
Yeah.
go down the river pretty often. I can row a big raft okay, and so friends invite me to go. But a young man I met on the river trims trees, so he's going to come out from out. He lives in Connecticut. He's going to come out here and do some rivers, and I'll pay his way here and pay him good to do the trees. He's a real serious, hard-working, intelligent guy, and that's just what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Somebody with an eye for quality that doesn't mind just jumping in and doing honest work. I'll pay him good. I don't
Sure.
expect it to be done for free by any means. So anyway, I'm real excited about that. And then next time you hear, the yard will look better on the outside. I was so embarrassed to find that somebody had been here and seen how dilapidated it got. I just felt,
I was amazed at how good it looked.
oh, thank you. Well, that's good. Well, I value it. It is a wonderful place. It really, it is a very, very nice place. It is.
My mother was
Oh,
a
yeah, wait, you
gardener.
haven't seen
Oh,
it.
She
wow.
loved to
Here.
garden. And on that side, she had a row of raspberry plants, and she
Oh.
would go out there and
Cut
pick all the
the-
raspberries, and Dad would, he was a partial postman,
Oh,
worked for the post office, and he would take them into one of the stores and sell them by the crate.
Oh, wow.
And I think she had raspberries on both sides.
And there was a chicken coop in the back on the far corner.
Okay,
When I was a youngster, it was gone by the time I bought the house. I bought the house, my grandmother passed away in 1974, and I was working in Alaska at that
You have
time.
more chairs.
I wanted to come back to the lower 48, and so I just said, well, I'll pay whatever the appraised value was for the house. The house had gone to my mother and her sister, the only siblings, and so I just arranged a VA guaranteed loan. Took me a long time to pay it off. But I eventually got it all paid off and it's mine. Then I bought the little house next door, which had been sold.
If you'd like to
separately,
sit
so I
down,
own it.
Karen, why don't you sit
No,
down?
I'm
I
fine.
own it as
No,
well. My
sorry.
neighbor
Well, you will, but
Frank's lived there about 10 years. I mean, my renters are like neighbors.
Uh-huh.
Stan and Norma lived upstairs for 10 years until Stan passed away, and that's when this renovation started.
Oh.
I make a good deal with folks that make nice neighbors.
Alan's renters raise their own rent. He
Yeah, in fact, I decline Frank's raises. He tries to raise it every year, but I don't want him to.
Well,
Yeah,
we aren't very
We
good
understand
landlords.
that.
Yeah, right.
yeah, we're landlords, but we never intended to be.
Yeah.
When my parents needed, I needed help because they were elderly, and
Yeah.
so we bought this property that had a house in the front, which we later tore down and put in a bigger house. But there were 3 rentals on the same property, so they could have one and be, close to us.
Mhm.
So when we bought the house, all 3 were rented, and we had to give notice to one so my parents could move in. And the other people had all been there quite a while, and the realtor said, the rent here is really low. And this was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
They said the rent here is really low. You might, you could stand to raise the rent and make more money off the property. So we thought, okay, we'll do that. And we never did because we couldn't bring it.
But they're such good renters. I mean, they
Still
pay
have
every
it.
month,
They're
and yeah.
good
yeah.
renters.
Good renters,
Oh,
that's what you
and
need.
Every time we
Arrangement
think,
that works.
because we pay the water and the trash, and they pay the rest of the utilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the water and the trash have gone up, so we have good reason to raise it, but we just never have.
Yeah, I understand it completely, and they still live there too, and they like
Yes.
it out there.
And
Yeah.
they, the faucet is drippy, they fix it themselves, and
They take care of
they
the dogs.
take care of it.
That's
you know.
perfect.
Yeah.
Just exactly what's needed.
McCall Brewing. How many weeks were you in McCall?
We were only there for
day.
a day.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
have you been touring Boise or?
Yeah.
Well, we
I
went through Ketchum and
Yeah.
then into
Yeah.
McCall.
Her
And then we
parents
toured Boise.
retired in Ketchum.
Oh, okay.
And we stopped in McCall because
No, Mother
they
had
used to go when she was a kid. They
garden
would go up
all
Yeah.
through here
Oh, yeah.
to the street.
McCall.
Oh, wow.
And on this side too, to the next property.
Boy, she was a gardener.
Yeah.
Well, the backyard looks pretty tough. The construction project's been hard on it. And I wasn't very good on it myself.
When I was a little kid, I broke out with something, and they didn't know for sure what it was, but it was smallpox or chicken pox. So Mother and I went out on a tent right at the edge of that park.
Oh, is that
It was vacant. There was nothing over there.
We were quarantined.
Yeah.
Kind of, uh-huh. Wow.
And here's the garage.
There it is.
And there's where Dad would park his truck when he came home from work.
Oh, that's where I park mine too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Some things never change, I guess.
No, they don't. And this might have been your clothesline pole too.
Probably.
It's been there a long time. There was actually another one up here. It was a slight arc, a slight bend to it. And I'd show you around in the garage, but it's such a frightful mess. I just can't bear to.
Okay.
I'm very
No
bad.
problem.
But by the next time you're here, I'll have it slicked up because I was telling Margie when I get done with this, then I'm gonna work on that. But I'm just throwing my stuff in there. It's heaped in piles, and we had to leave town, and I packed in 2 hours to go on a 3-week.
Yeah, I know. I
Grand
remember
Canyon.
talking to you, and you weren't even packed yet.
Throwing stuff in bags and leaving because I just had too much going on here. I shouldn't really have gone on the trip, but once you're committed, they count on me to be there, and they count on everybody to be there, so we have to go.
Yeah.
Please come back. You've recognized the screen door.
Alan, you're not gonna.
No, I'm not showing anybody inside here. I don't know. These are the original doors.
Oh,
That's the original door fixture. That's the original hasp.
and that's the original cinder block.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know if you remember this, but my whole life this door is squeaked like that when I open it.
Oh, really?
I love it. I love that sound. It is. That is the sound of home to me.
Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that funny?
It is strange.
Yeah.
There was a chimney here that went up right, let's see, where was it? It went up right here. And it fell down in the 50s. It wasn't needed anymore, and so my grandmother and myself built a brick walkway over out towards the chicken coop with the bricks from the chimney. And
Did you ever use it as a garage?
I didn't. My grandmother did, but when I moved back from Alaska, people had built across the way, and it was quite hard to get into the property. They built a wide gate so my grandmother could open the gate and pull in, but she would only drive her car perhaps once a week. And for me, I drive it every day, so I park one vehicle there and then one vehicle there. When I lived back here, see, I lived in this for 30 years back there. I
Oh, you
really
did?
liked living.
Did you?
I like camping out. My gal Margie, she's very particular. She has a beautiful house. It's just everything is spot perfect. I don't think about those things. I like to camp, you know. So people say, "How did you guys ever get married?" Well, I don't know. We both of us realize we're very extreme in our views. We don't expect the other person to see our way.
Yeah.
We have two houses, so we can each have it our own way. And she doesn't want my projects in her backyard, and, you know. And I couldn't live under her house rules all the time, where everything is just polished and shined and ready
That's
to go.
great.
Is there any more that I can show you?
No, I think that lot was empty as far as we could see.
I see. Okay.
And there was a farmhouse for the raised
I see. Okay. I don't know which house that would have been, but I'm going to start looking and see which of those looked like it could have been a farmhouse. When I was a boy, the house built. There was one house built on this property. It was 5 lots, I think, wide, and the house was owned by Mrs. Dulligan, who was a widow, a recent widow. She was an old Dulligan. That sounds like an Irish name, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dulligan. But she, by my standards, was very, very old. Of course, that could have been anybody over 40, but I think she was probably, she was well into her 80s, I would think. And so Mr. Dulligan had passed away before I met him. But she was kind to me. She always liked me to come over. My grandmother and I would go over quite often. I'd see Mrs. Dulligan.
Now, I don't know if you ever noticed the name of my father, McGuire,
I had knew his last name, but I didn't know his first.
Alan.
Alan McGuire.
Everybody called him Alan. He didn't spell his name right because he wasn't raised by his father, and the people who raised him didn't know how to spell his name. So everything he had was in the name of I-E-R instead of I-R-E.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. So if you ever run across anything like that.
Oh, I'll have to pay attention to that. Well, here's something funny. So, in your bedroom, in what I call the back bedroom, in the storage area above the closet, I was cleaning out in there before this, and I found a very, very old package. It was a Bull Durham tobacco package, not his.
Nobody smoked.
Okay, and it could have been, I don't know who would have put that there, but I wondered about that. But also, my friend Roger was working in the basement down there, and he found up in the rafters an empty bottle of King whiskey with the date 1937 on it.
That could be.
And I thought,
Probably wasn't who built it.
have to go down and check the furnace there.
Yeah. Dad seldom had a drink, but once in a while he did. So he would maybe have a bottle or two on.
I always laughed about that.
Yeah.
And then on the wall, when I built this shop, my shop on the outside wall, we took the shakes down for a way so we put flashing underneath it. There's a pencil drawing of a man. This picture was obviously done by a little girl. This was the shady side of the house, and I had wondered if that was McGuire, but it could have been the guy that built it, because that's where you'd have lunch. And you had checked shirt and suspenders and a mustache and curly hair.
Could be the one who built the house.
Well, I'm going to,
I wish I knew their name, but I have no idea. Although that might be in the records.
I have all the records. I have abstracts way back to when this property was owned by oh gosh, Malcolm Forbes owned all
Oh,
this
really?
property from.
Really?
Would be the one we know's grandfather, from the train depot to the rim and over further
What did they
west.
do with the depot?
The depot's still there and looks quite grand. And the train the train does not pick up passengers there, but they use it for community functions of various kinds. You might enjoy going over to take a look at
But it doesn't have the beautiful view down to the Capitol.
it. It pretty much does.
Oh, does it?
It pretty much does.
That's
They've
something we
tried
didn't get to see.
They
No.
tried to preserve.
Next time.
That's actually that's on your way out of town if you get into the freeway. If you take
As long as you get in and out with the motorhome. That's
Okay,
the only
that could
question.
be. Yeah, that's a good possibility. All right.
Yeah.
Something to think about. And you guys are driving off tonight?
Yeah, we're leaving right from here.
Well, I'll tell you, it was mighty nice of you to
Yeah.
come
No, it was
by
great. I
and,
thought this would be great to be able to meet you and
uh-huh.
you
Well,
guys
we
swap
thought
stories.
The same. I really
Yeah.
hope my mom would be able to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
She just
that's
had
a
too
shame.
many commitments.
Will you tell her we relayed the messages through you?
Well, I certainly will. I certainly will.
No, this is nice.
It's going to be nice.
It
when
did shrink.
What's that?
You shrunk it.
I made it small. Doggone it. Things like that happen sometimes.
Yeah,
All
I
these
remember
trees
this.
is what made it small, I think.
that could be, and the sidewalk is the same.
Yeah, I wondered. Yeah.
We can probably walk around the house.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that'd be.
Wow, this is such a treat.
Yes, it is. We really appreciate this.
So
Appreciate.
I'm gonna make sure, Randy, you have my email.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get you
Yeah,
everything
definitely.
So we can change. Have you put any video on YouTube or anything?
That's what I will do.
You do. Is
Yeah.
it really easy?
Yeah, it is.
You just
You just sign up for YouTube
which I
and
may
it
already
just says
have.
upload
Okay.
and then you just upload it to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna get.
Now, are these maple trees?
I don't know. You know what kind of trees these are?
This is a horse chestnut tree.
Chestnut. Oh, okay.
Which is going to get pruned. It's going to
I see
remain.
the
but
chestnuts
it's
there.
going to be. It's going to be
And on the ground.
a little bit prettier. Here's something you would probably remember: the globe around the porch light.
Uh-huh.
I have the one for that too, but I put it in safekeeping until the renovation's done. Then I'm going to reinstall it. And it had a clear mailbox on it, a mailbox that you could look right through. It was glass. It hung right there, and I replaced it with that because the postman didn't like it, and I have it inside where I put my bills and so forth.
Isn't that funny? I think we had a box shot
On the street,
on
probably.
the street.
Okay.
And
That's-
I think our address was Garden Avenue.
Oh, I see.
Well, that's
687 was our telephone number.
Okay, that we have more numbers than that now.
What was your number?
687?
687.
And a party line, probably.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was a two-party line, so we never heard another ring.